Hello, everyone. It's Ashley with Court Reserve. We are super excited to have you here with us today. I am with my good friends, Kim and Josh from our product team. Hello, you two.
Hello.
Hello.
So, we're going to be talking all about team based registrations that are in beta in Court Reserve right now. But before we get started, we know that you love to go over some housekeeping items. So, know that we will put this on the Court Reserve YouTube channel. And we did just recently launch our new podcast, which is now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you want to have the unscripted version of everything that's happening at Court Reserve, check it out. We are coming to the West Coast and the East Coast. I know Josh and Kim are going to be with me. We're going to Seattle September 17th, and then near Cherry Valley, or about an hour from Philly, in New Jersey for another Catalyst. It's one day. Send your people, bring your people. We only have so many signups. Look, somebody's calling me right now to sign up. So again, Josh has put the link in the chat. And so please go ahead and make sure that you get signed up for that today as well, because we only have so many seats and we'd hate for you to sign up later and you can't be there. What else are we doing? I'm going to LA. So if you're near LA this coming Monday, I'm going to be a part of the City Series Racket X Tour. And then also next Friday, I'll be down in Fort Lauderdale. If you want to come to either event, I have some free tickets for the LA conference and I have some reduced fee tickets for Fort Lauderdale. So you can reach out in the chat or send a support ticket in and say, hey, Ashley said she could get me in the door. We'll work on that. And then don't forget about Mastermind, because if you are anything pickleball, you should go to a Mastermind. It's a great event. It's all about how to run the best business. And the best part about Mastermind is the community afterwards. I was just on the Facebook page yesterday. It's constant collaboration between pickleball friends and clubs all over the country, and it's super great. I think that's all I get to talk about. Is that right?
I think that's all I have you slated for at the moment. But as we're doing the team registration, would love it if you wanted to participate in that too.
Let's
So
do it.
stick around. Okay, so then I've got a couple more housekeeping items I wanted to make sure everybody that was aware of. So earlier today, if you were an admin in Court Reserve, you should have received another reminder email from me if your club is not using the modern dashboard. So if you're using the classic navigation or the custom navigation within your mobile experience for your members, we want you to be aware that we're getting ready to retire these two dashboards. And so how do I know if I'm not on one of these or if I'm not on the modern dashboard? Well, when your members log into the member portal on the app, it doesn't look like this. Then you know that you're going to be migrating towards the end of August. So the week of August 25th, we're going to be retiring our two old dashboards that have been around Court Reserve for 3 or 4 years now. We're going to be replacing it with this modern dashboard experience. And then with that, just know that all players in your organization will be utilizing the court reservation flow that is part of the modern dashboard. So once you transfer over this new reservations piece comes with it. It's not available on the old one. And so we have given you some resources that you can utilize that are available on the knowledge base. I think Josh has a link that he's going to drop into the chat as well. So just make sure that you're prepared for what this is going to look like. Your members are prepared too. Our technical writer has written a great article that is dedicated to your members and what their experience is going to look like. You could send this article to them to help prepare them. And then Josh actually has a great video that he created about a month or so ago where it really walks you through the difference between the custom navigation and the modern dashboard. So 2 great resources for you to check out there to share with your members. But just remember that this is coming soon. You can switch it ahead of time if you want, and those step-by-step instructions are in the article for you.
Can I say something real quick before you go? So people ask us, why are you doing this? Well, a couple different reasons. Because it is cleaner, it is fresh, it looks great, and it looks new. And the reason that you want to do this is because it makes it easier for your players. Now you may say, oh, but my players love the old dashboard. Well, but now there's a lot of great features about the new modern dashboard that you would never be able to get on the old. So that's why we are helping you switch it. You can blame Court Reserve, but Just like one of my friends in San Francisco told me yesterday. She said, Ashley, I love the fact that you guys are always trying to improve the process, the player visibility, how the players are using the system, because it makes me and my club look like we really care about the process. And it makes us look like we're always keeping up with the times. So, again, you can blame us, but this is for your benefit and for your players' benefit because we want to keep up and make sure things are crisp and clean. And it is a great flow. We're using it at Old Coast. We've been using it for a year now, and our players absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Anything else, Josh? Because I
Well,
mean, I'm singing it here.
I do want to say this dashboard has been out for over a year now.
Mhm.
And so we've had customers using it for about 18 months now. And so it's a really great experience. It's just going to streamline the experience across the board. There is a question here I do want to answer. It states the week of the 25th. I'm specifically targeting August 26th, which is Tuesday. We don't like to release things on Monday, and we don't like to release things on Friday. So we're going to target Tuesday that day to help with any maybe support that anybody asks on that transition that week. But I am targeting Tuesday, August 26th, but giving ourselves a little bit of wiggle room. That's why it says the week of the 25th.
There is a question, Kim. How will this dashboard change for sailing, like reserve a boat capability?
It's still going to keep all of the same features that you already have. So if you renamed courts to boats and things like that, we do use that example a lot. That it's still going to keep all of that same stuff, and it's going to take on a lot of the naming that you already have throughout the system as well. So if you've renamed events to programs, it's going to keep all of that same stuff for you. All right, I'm going to jump forward because we're here to talk about team events, and I have another exciting thing, housekeeping related, that I wanted to announce prior to jumping into teams. We have a new feature that is almost ready for beta. It's not released fully yet, but it's almost ready for beta. It is a court lottery feature. What is a court lottery feature? It is a way to ensure fairness on high demand court bookings. So we're going to, instead of rewarding those fastest clicks, the fastest internet connections, we're going to take all of the requests in a short period of time, like a minute, less than a minute, and we're going to randomize those reservations, and then we'll book the courts for them. So this is really a way for us to really hone in on preventing bots and things like that and ensuring fair play across the system. If you're interested in a feature like this, I'm compiling a list of beta customers that are interested. If you could just reach out to our support team, they have a special tag that they're going to tag on your conversation so I can see that you're interested. And if you would please just reach out to support and say, Kim's told me to come in and tell you I'm interested in court lottery, that would be amazing. I haven't sent out any information yet, but I'm getting ready to. So if you could please do that for me, that would be amazing. Cool. Well, Ashley, I'm going to jump right in. So today we're here to talk about team registration. We're going to talk about the way team registration currently functions, two-man teams, two-player teams in CourtReserve. If you have any ideas for the ways that you would like to expand on team registration, like four-player teams and team names and all of that fun stuff, I have received a lot of feedback already, but the best way to get those ideas in front of me and our product team is by going to the CourtReserve idea board. So please post any ideas that you have on what you would like to see with teams on the idea board. Our team is really going to be leaning into the idea board now going forward. And so we're keeping up and keeping track of all the ideas on there. So go into the idea board and select events and programming category when you add a new idea, and then that'll get visibility to our team and we can prioritize things. If you are going to, if you're here and you have questions, please share your questions in the Q&A section of the webinar. It's very important that we please use the Q&A section. The chat we actually can't see after the recording is over. And so we like to go back and make sure that we answered all of our questions appropriately. So if you could please make sure that you're putting questions in the Q&A section and not the chat, that will help us kind of streamline our workflow following the webinar. So now I'm going to jump right in. We're going to walk through team registration today in CourtReserve and how this, oops, that is the wrong button, and how this feature currently works right now inside the system. So this feature, we have allowed you to take our current event setup process and turn that into a registration where can two players can register and be part of a team. So How do I do that? So you're going to go to the event tab on the left navigation. Really, we're just going to walk through some event setup here, just to make sure everybody's familiar with some of the settings that are available with team events. And you're going to go create a new event. If you notice here on my list, I do have some team events already created. Anything that has this little man icon over here on this list, when you hover over that, that just tells me that is a team event. So you can quickly see from this list what might be a team event and what might not be a team event. And I'm going to actually go off video here, so my picture isn't going to be up in front on the video recording later. But that way you get the entire picture. So now if I want to create a team event, I'm going to go over here to create teams or create an event. So we're going to go create an event the normal way we would always create an event in CourtReserve. We're going to give this a name. So I'm just going to call this live demo. And then you can go in and add your event categories. Any category you can add to it. It doesn't matter whatever category you choose. And then any of our event tags. Remember, I love event tags because event tags give your members a little bit more information or subcategories about maybe how what describes this event. So definitely consider using tags. All right, the next big setting here is register as a team. So this is really the first piece of the registration or the event setup that is going to change everything else about this event to be reflective of a team event. So you'll see here that now my max registrants has now changed to max teams. And so this just tells the system this is how many teams are allowed to register to the event. And this is the setting that takes this from an individual count of players. So I'm not counting individual players, I'm counting pairs of players. Okay. And so then I do see a setting here for the maximum registrants per team. There is a little tooltip here that says that right now we're only limited to 2 players because that is what we did for MVP here. We will have more players coming later as part of expanding this. But remember, this is just beta. We released this to everybody to really figure out what people want. And then we're going to be taking this and expanding on it again. So this is just to get us started, but don't worry, there's more coming with teams. So then we're just going to select an event date for when we want this event to run. And let's pick some start times here. Doesn't matter for demo purposes. And then we can make this a reoccurring event, maybe to reoccur every week on Saturday. I think I picked the 6th, yeah, Saturday the 16th there. And we'll just say 10 dates. Now, like I said before, this is going to take pairs of registrations and it's going to put everybody together on the event together. So I'm just going to go through here and just select some other attributes around the event. You can allow waitlist with team registration. You can also allow auto register from waitlist with team registration. So that's just going to, take those players on waitlist and auto register them prior to the event. And then you would want to select up your event, as normal moving forward from there. So let me just get some basic other information in here, and then we'll talk about some of the settings that I'm adding here. All right, so I'm going to make sure I add some custom fields in here because I want to just kind of give you guys some visuals once we get in here. Okay, so I have done my event setup. Drop in price per player. So this is going to be the price that each player is going to pay. So when a player goes in and registers in the member portal, they're registering their partner. And this will make sense. If you haven't done this already, I'm going to take us through some member portal experience here after we set up this event. But we're still creating fees per individual player. This is not a team price. So each person that is registered, including the player that is registering plus their partner, will have their own fee generated for them. If they're registering with a guest, that like a true CourtReserve guest, the player registering will pay the price of their guest. But if there's member registering with another member, they're going to pay their own portion. And then that member that they're registering with is going to have their own fee generated that then they can go in and register themselves. So you'll also see that I've listed require upfront payment here, require payment profile. These are only going to be required of the player that is completing the registration. So if their partner does not have a payment profile, They're not going to be limited from participating in the event. And then require upfront payment, again, is only required for that player that is completing the registration on the member portal. All right, let's talk about, let me just see if there's any questions, Josh, that came in. Um, and again, I see some questions coming into chat. If you could please push the Q&A button that is on your Zoom window, that would be amazing. All right, I see there are some questions that have come in, so I'm going to pause real quick at the registration restriction and answer some of these questions. Is organized play available along with team registration? No, Cindy, that is a great question. At this time, organized play is not available within team registration. Organized play is already its own way of getting players out on the court and allocated to courts. There is a pairing process that is available already within organized play. And so it's just not available right now with teams because there were a lot of pieces to figure out and how to make it work with teams. So that wasn't part of our MVP. So if you are registering somebody together as a team, that organized play checkbox is going to be disabled. So if you already have an organized play event, you're not going to be able to enable teams either. So those settings just kind of work kind of separately. What is a true court reserve guest mean? So that means, that's a great question, Eric. That means that my event is allowing guests, and I will get to that tab here in a second. These are players that are not in your court reserve system. They don't have a membership probably. So if you are having a member guest or something like that, or you want to allow players to come in and just bring anybody that's not part of the club, you can use the guest setup tab. And then also, because I know a lot of clubs create a guest membership. And so this would be a true court reserve guest would be, a guest without a profile using this guest setup. Or if you were on a reservation, something like that, those would be guests. There are some questions here that we will get to. Is there any way for the partner to be charged? That'll be something that we probably follow up with later. That is something that I know is a big deal and part of a lot of the feedback to make sure that that partner gets charged. So we are looking at that. So I'm going to get back into setting up this team event and just talking about the registration restrictions before Zoom drops me again. And if it does, I am so sorry. I will come right back in. So anyway, as you're looking at the gender restrictions or the age restrictions, just think about how you want to set up your event to, what types of events you want to do. And then those are the players that are going to be allowed to register. Let's talk about rating restrictions. Rating restrictions is one of the ones that I'm really excited about for team registration. We did some cool things with it. So you can use your normal, club rating system. And we've done some, we've added a setting here that's going to allow you to choose how this rating applies to the players that are registering. So you can either do it to apply it to all of the players registering. So that's going to say when the player goes and registers, it's going to look to make sure that both players that are registering meet the rating restriction. And so then you also have only the registering player. This is going to basically do the opposite. This is going to only require it of the player that is completing the registration. It's not going to look at the rating of their partner. So, you kind of have some flexibility. You can allow the, different types of players to register just as long as the one that's registering meets that restriction. I know this is popular within the duper space, and so there's a lot of flexibility that you have here with your registrants. So then let's move over to duper. I want to talk about duper and highlight duper here really quick. So we have added, so when you are doing a team event, right now you're only going to be able to do restrict players by duper doubles rating. And then also we've added another rating here called duper doubles combined. This one's really cool because it's going to look at your registering player and their partner's duper rating, and it's going to add them together. So you can limit players on team events by their individual duper doubles rating, and then you can make sure that as a team, they don't fall under or over a specific threshold. So it really kind of keeps that pool of players to be the level of play that you want. And it's a really great option as you're going into your events and thinking about how you want to run them. All right, let me just take a look at the questions here really quick to see if there's anything as far as restrictions go. When you register as a partner, does the partner also need to sign up or does the first player add both names? I will show you that in the member portal. The player that is registering will do both names. They'll do themselves and their partner. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of these questions we'll eventually touch on once we get a little bit further.
If you choose hall players registering, how does that work on guests? So that is a good question. So it's going to, I'll show you, I'm going to set up Duper on this event just to kind of show you how that works with true guests. But it's, if you add it, if you, it's not going to apply any of your custom ratings to guests because we just don't have a way to do that right now in the system. But if you are using doubles, we've upgraded the system basically to be able to do duper validation on guests. So I'll show you guys that here in a few minutes. So let me just do a minimum doubles rating of 0 because I want to do NR. If you weren't already aware, if you want to have people that have NR doubles ratings, if you put 0 in this field, it's going to allow you to capture those NR players that have the duper profile but are not yet rated. And then let's just do a max of 5, just so I can kind of take a lot of different players. All right, and then I'm going to get to guest setup here really quick. I'm also going to show you an example of guests as we go through and do this. So I'm just going to allow guest pricing here for all of my membership types. And then save. Cool. So now my event is populated. I'm going to then, let's start talking about the registration process. So if you're going to register players for this event and you've already used team registration, you'll notice that we have made an update to our registration page. So we've taken the current registration page that we have and we've improved it. And so you'll see this new interface for player registration. This has only been made available on events that are on Teams. We are going to be releasing this sort of experience to any normal event going forward, or not, I don't want to say normal event, but non-team events in the very near future. So we really, I welcome feedback on this section too, if you're going to be giving us feedback, because this is a whole new kind of registration experience. We've done away with like the 2 tables that you saw before and things like that and really streamlined it. So let me just go back here really quick because I'm going to use the drop-in window for this one. And so we're going to start registering players to an event. So I'm going to add let's see, Beth, because I know Beth has a duper rating. And so now you'll see that we've added, so if you compare this to the old way of registering players to an event, there wasn't a way to do custom fields for individual registrants when you were registering on the admin side. If you wanted to register players at the same time for an event, you actually would complete custom fields that would apply to everybody that you were registering. So now when you're registering players, you're going to get any of the custom fields that are associated with the event, so you can add them at the player level. Another improvement that we've done with Teams registration is we've put a column here that shows you what that player's duper rating is. So that was another thing that we got from feedback from the duper integration, was that admins wanted to know what these players' ratings were when they were adding them to the system. So if you are doing a team event that is also a duper event, you're going to see that player rating in that column right there as well. And now I'm going to add a partner here for Beth. And you can see here that now that I've added 2 players to this event, since my event only allows 2 players per team, the team maximum has been met, and I can't add any more players to this event. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And you can see that now I have 2 players registered as a team to this event. There was a question earlier, how are incomplete teams handled? So right now, incomplete teams can be handled only from the admin side. So let me just give you an example here. So Mr. Josh Willie, who is running our Q&A, he's going to participate in this event. As you can see, Josh does not have a duper doubles rating here, but I'm going to go ahead and save Josh's registration. I'm going to get a warning that says, register him as an incomplete team. Are you sure you want to do this? You can always add him later. Yes, register. This is going to register Josh as an individual participant. Remember, again, Josh can't register himself on the member portal right now if he doesn't have a partner. Also, another thing that is high on our to-do list, being able to register people in the member portal without a partner. But you can see here he's been added as an individual, and it has a row here for me to go ahead and add a partner for him. Keep in mind, he is taking a team spot here. So my count is a 4-team max. He is team number 2. So that means I can only take 2 more teams to register for this event. So Josh has actually 2 options to go in and add a partner here. Josh could go into his registration on the member portal and edit his registration and add a partner that way. Or I could add a partner for Josh here as well. And I'm going to do that and actually demo to you guys what we've done on the guest side of it. So when I go and choose add a partner here, you can see that I get the same drop-in modal window again. And then I can see Josh is already here. It tells me he's registered. And then I can actually either add another member. So I could add, I could add Ashley. Or let's say I want to add a guest. So what does the guest look like? So when I add a guest, I'm going to enter the guest name, and I'm actually going to enter somebody here that has a duper rating because I want to make sure that we're looking at how this works. And then we have a phone number, and then anybody that's familiar with any of our guest entries, email address is a new field for us on guests. So this is another thing that we're starting to, recognize that this is something that people want and starting to maybe implement it in some other ways throughout the system. So phone number is always something we've had for guests. Email address is a new thing. You're going to see this probably start popping up a little bit more and more. If you enter email address here, I can communicate with this player as an admin if I was going to email or notify all my registrants, but they're not going to get a confirmation. We haven't done anything yet with confirmation emails, but their email would be at least attached to this registration. So then I'm going to go select a t-shirt for this player, and I'm going to enter in this player's duper ID because I have a duper validation process that is attached to my guests now. All right, so Duper found this player. Duper is now confirmed that this player is within the range of the restrictions that I have on the event, and I can go ahead and register this player. Now, since I'm a normal admin, I can always override any event restrictions. So even if this player didn't have a Duper ID or fell outside of the Duper range, I would always be able to register him. But if I had picked a player, maybe if I was a sub-admin who wasn't able to register against event restrictions, I would be prevented from adding this player. So I'm going to hit save there. And you can see here that his duper information came over as well. I'm seeing that right here, and I can go ahead and I have to check on why that price didn't populate. That's something I'm going to check on here when we get done. But I can see that now Ryan has been added to this event as Josh's partner, and I get that player's duper rating here as well. So as an admin, I can go back later and check this player's rating. So that's really the admin side. I also want to call out, if you're using Swish, we also, from the get-go, made this work with our Swish integration. So right here up in the top, if you sync to Swish, you're going to get that game format. And then you can go ahead and, sync any of the formats that we have available that are applicable to partner registrations. So definitely check that out if you have done the Swish integration. Currently how that works, or previously how that worked, was if you were using a custom field on an event called partner name, you would kind of map it based on that custom field. But now if you're not, you don't have to do that anymore now that we have Teams, and you can sync to Swish and still get those partners paired together. All right, Josh, I'm going to go through some of the questions really quick. Is there anything that you want me to answer live?
Yeah, so there is a question about, is there a way that the system is going to check for any potential duplicate registration? So, if you tried to add me as a guest into team 1, and then you
Yeah.
attempted to add me again into team 2, does the system check
Yes.
for that?
That is a great question. So let me go in here and do another registration. I'll just show you how we handle that. So I'm going to add myself. Okay, so now let's go and add, I think I had Josh, let's try and add Josh again. And this is the Josh that Josh has a few profiles in my organization, but this is the Josh that I had registered. And so as you can see, Josh is already registered to the event. So I actually can't pick this Josh again because he's already registered. So it's not going to let you register duplicate players. On the member portal side too, if I was registering myself, Josh was already registered, it would look very similar when I tried to add Josh too. So I wouldn't be able to register duplicate players that are members that are already registered. Now, I can't say the same thing about guests because guests are really just text fields that you enter their first and last name. But if they're a member at your organization and they're already registered in another team, you're going to be prevented from registering that player. In that case, Josh, I would have to go, maybe if you didn't have a partner, I would go register the next player in that team as well. And then, that's how those players can be paired together. All right, I do see a question. Rarely you have the guest email handy. Can a member registering for a team event in the member portal send a link via text to complete the registration themselves? No, that is not possible right now. It's only a member-facing registration. So a member would have to register themselves, and the email field is optional. It's not something that has to be completed. It just allows the admin to have that extra layer of contacting the players that has been asked us for or asked of us. So we do have more plans to do things like that in the future, but if I was to do notify here, any of those guests that I entered emails for would come through in that notification. So players that are guests could get those email notifications. All right. Are there any limitations or considerations when using Swish with team-based registration? No, I'm going to say no at the moment, but don't quote me if you get an error. We built this in a way to work with the integration that we already had. So really all that we did was, instead of having you map the partner that you had for the custom field, we're taking the partner that player is registered with and sending those players over together through Swish. It's a very simple integration that we have. So it's just going to keep those partners paired together. All right, I'm going to keep going here, Josh, unless there's anything that you jump out at you at this moment with the registration.
No, I think we're all good. I can type answers for the rest of the
Okay.
questions here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for handling that Q&A for us. And we haven't gotten kicked out of Zoom yet, so I'm going to keep moving forward, everybody. All right, so we've looked at the player side. I just want to take you through to the schedulers really quickly. So we booked this for Saturday, August 16th. Oh, the other thing I wanted to call out here was team events can only be created a team event if they don't have any registrants as on them already. Okay, so what do I mean by that? If you have an event that is already existing, you can't go in and make this a team event if it has players registered in the past or players registered in the future. So let me just show you what I mean by that. So this is an event that I have in my database where I have players that are registered in the future. I think I probably have players registered in the past as well. But if you go in here and edit an event that has registrants, you can't go in and turn it on as a team. Why did we do that? Well, because we're pairing people together, as you saw in the registrant table previously. So we wouldn't know how to pair those players together if they're already registered or if they've been registered in the past. So right now, if you already have an event that's running that you maybe are using a custom field for that says partner name, just like this event is, my recommendation for that would be, maybe let that event run through its date course that you have. If you have it maybe booked out 6 months, maybe cancel dates that are in the future or something and create a new event. But we aren't able to convert events that already have registrants to be a team event. So just keep that in mind. So you can only do it for events that have never had a registrant to them. All right, so let's jump in here really quick to my scheduler. I just want to show you kind of how this looks like when we go through. All right, so this is the event that we created right here. So you can see, and we did this throughout the platform too, we tried to identify anywhere that we were showing registrants. We changed the word registrants to teams. So you're going to see 2 teams of 4 spots. So that's 2 teams are registered of 4 team spots. sometimes we're a little bit limited on space, so we couldn't put the word team everywhere. But that's what that means. So if you're looking at any of your things on the admin side, it's the number of players registered out of the total number of available max that you have set. So then any of your front desk or anything like that, anytime they open any of these windows, they can see how those players are paired together. If you want to assign courts, you can do that at the team level as well. So I could go in here and assign this, and it's going to assign it to both players that are in the team, which is nice. I don't have to go through and do this to, if I've got 30 registrants, I only have to do it 15 times. So that's an advantage of doing it that way. So I think that's it really. And then sub-admins or admins can also go in and register players this way as well. So they can register them from the scheduler, and it's going to be the same experience. All right, Josh, I'm going to jump into the member portal now. Is there anything that we wanted to answer here before I jump into the member portal?
No, I think there's one question in here that will probably be best once we get a little bit further into the member portal. So I'll
Okay.
hold off on it for now.
Awesome. Perfect. All right, well, let's jump into the member portal. And so this is my organization that I do all of my testing in and everything like that. So we're going to jump into the event list and just kind of show you what this looks like from a member perspective. Whoops, what day did I do this on, Josh? Do you remember? Live is what I called it. Live demo. Perfect. And I didn't register myself, so that's great. All right, so we're going to find this event on the event list. As you can see here, let me go back to the event list. Sorry about that. I jumped in there really quickly. So if you've got a live or a team event, so this is what it looks like on the event list. So really the only difference that the players are going to see right now is the team spots remaining. So, we had a lot of conversations about how do we make this stand out on the event list so people know this is a team event without kind of having to redo too many things on this event list. The best thing I can tell you to do right now is to utilize these tags. So if you're not using event tags, again, event tags are a great way in order to kind of subcategorize your events and tell people a little bit more about what the event is, but more about what the event is, so they don't have to maybe go into it and read a full description and things like that. So I could even create a tag here that says team event, and players could know that this is a team event without even me having to add another visual indicator here for them. So we're going to go ahead and click register. And so again, this looks like a normal event that I can go ahead and register for. It tells me what courts are booked for this event and any of the restrictions on this event as well. And then I can, if you're allowing players to register for dates in the future, they will see this dates tab here. I will call out, and I forgot to mention this in the setup earlier, but team events are only drop-in events. They are not full registration events, which means that if I sign up as a team, I'm only registering for an individual date. I don't have the ability at this time to register for maybe a 10-date series or a 99-date series or something like that. So if I wanted to register for multiple weeks of this event, I'm going to have to do multiple registrations. There's a lot of reasons we did it that way, but a lot of the team scenarios that we were running into were like individual events and things like that. And players don't always want to play together every week and stuff like that too. So right now it is just a drop-in event. So when I go and register for this event, whoops. Hey, Josh.
Yes.
Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. I got to add a payment profile. I should have checked this before. I've been doing a lot of testing. Give me 1 second.
Well, now this is how you add payment profiles into a player's member center.
Give me 1 second, everybody. Sorry. I've been playing with some setup stuff and I deleted a payment profile to test something and I did not go back and add it in. So this is how we would add a credit card payment profile. And this is not real card information. So don't get any ideas, people. All right, there. Let's go back to my list. Sorry about that. All right. Just all kinds of things happening today. All right, here we go. Register. Perfect. I am qualified for this event because of my duper restriction. If I or nobody else in my family was eligible for the event, I would have seen a warning that said nobody in your family is eligible. And I have a family here with 5 or 6 people in it. So if you have a family, and we have organizations with so many different setups. So you have families, you have individuals with no families and things like that. So I'm not going to walk through every scenario here right now. We're just going to look at this family model because I think the family model is a little bit more complicated than the individual. If you're an individual, you're basically going to see your name and where you can add your partner. That's the difference here. If you are a family, I want to make sure that you guys as admins understand how they're adding different family members as their partner, because that was a big edge case that we had to work through. So it's really a very simple process. So this is the registration that you or your players are used to seeing right now. So they're seeing their name, if they're in a family, all of their family members. And then if they want to register these people to an event, they're going to check off the player or check the player that they're interested in registering. So when I check a player, it's going to tell me to enter that player's partner name. Okay. If I went in and checked off John Smith here, this is a different registration for John. If I wanted to add my husband as my partner, I'm going to type in my husband's name into the registration. And then that is automatically, you can see here, his checkbox got checked. It's disabled because now his registration is controlled from here. So again, partners are responsible for their individual registration fee because we're creating a fee for each player. Since my husband is in my family, my total is going to reflect the total for both of us. Okay. So that's how you would register a partner that is in the same family. I'm going to go ahead and try and register another player. Oh, let's see. I got to pick somebody that has a duper but isn't ridiculously high. Let's try.
And this kind of leads into one of the questions that we have in Q&A, if you mind me asking right now.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so is the system going to look at the partner's event registration restrictions and ability to register? So, for example, say I'm adding a partner and their registration window isn't open yet for their membership. Would they be able to register as a partner in this case? Or is it
Yes.
only okay?
So with that specific example, yes. And that was actually a bug that came up right when we released this. So we did fix it. So when you register a player, well, I'm sorry, when a player is registering themselves, it is going to check that they're eligible to register for the event. So if it's, allowing me to register 10 days in advance based on my membership, I'm going to be eligible. But let's say the partner that I'm adding is not eligible until 5 days in advance. It's going to still let me add him as my partner because I am eligible. But this was the bug that we had found. It was kicking partners out because they weren't eligible yet. They would complete the registration and then it would remove the partner later. So we did fix that. That was a very early fix that we made so that the registration restriction for the days in advance is only going to be looking at, oops, I unchecked my name, is only going to be looking at the player that is completing the registration or who I am registering to the event if it's somebody else in my family. So that is a very good question. If you're looking at restrictions, now the restrictions based on the player level are going to apply based on that setting that we looked at in the setup, where if it applies to only the player registering. In this case, I did do that for this event, so it's applying to both of us. And then if I had only picked myself, it would just apply to me. It wouldn't look at my partner's rating. So if the player doesn't meet the duper restriction, then it's going to tell you that this player is not eligible for the event, and then you'll need to add another player. So we do have checks like that in place as well. But if you wanted to go ahead and add a player in here, let me see. I'm going to show you the guest process here. So the member process is very similar to what I showed you before on the admin side, but I did want to show you the guest process right now. And since again, this is just text, gosh, I know I already registered you, but I'm going to register you again because I have your duper ID. And again, phone and email is going to be optional. duper ID is going to be required because it is a restriction on the event. So again, if you are doing duper, they can add guests themselves on the member portal and have their duper checked. So you can validate on the member portal with duper. So 6ZJQ2G. All right. All right, so you don't need it, Josh, so you can't register with me. So I'm just gonna go ahead, so you can see here that is an example of just when it gives you an error, it isn't gonna let you register that player. I'm gonna go in here and just register this player because I do know that he is eligible. Now let's continue on the registration. So if you do have custom fields that are on the event, like t-shirt size or emergency contact, based on your required, so if this field is required, like you see here, t-shirt size, it's only going to be required for the player that's completing the registration. Caleb could actually go in and edit his registration later and add his t-shirt size, so they don't have to have all the information about their partner handy when they go do the registration. But as you can see here, finalizing the registration, that is only my price to register. If I was registering with a guest that was eligible based on the duper rating that I put in here, it would show me the guest registration fee as well here in the total. So it would have been like $22 because I had guests set to $22 or yeah, $12. So we're going to go in here and finalize the registration. All right, cool. Pay. Awesome. And then I'm actually going to consult my email over here in another window just so I can show you guys we did do some work with emails and just how it looks when you register a player. Josh,
So
were
do you
there
have,
any questions that came in that I can answer while I'm looking for this confirmation email?
yeah, so there was one question that came in. Can players register as a solo, assuming they are willing to play with any other available solo partners that the admin may assign?
No, so right now, players have to register in the member portal as with a partner. We don't have a way right now to shut that feature off. We do have plans in the future to allow you to register as an individual, but it's just not available at this time. Again, remember this is beta. We're taking all of your feedback. That is a feature that you want. Please go throw it on the idea board so it helps us prioritize it. But definitely a good call out and something that we want to do in the future. All right, let me just, I got this email. Let me just look at it really quickly to make sure that that is the right email that I want to show you. All right. Whoops. Sorry, I'm just looking for that handy Gmail pop out button so I can pop the email out and just show you guys. Okay, Josh, can you see that email?
Yes, I can.
All right, perfect. So this is the email that was actually sent to my partner. So my partner that registered was Caleb. I didn't pop the right email out. I wanted to show you my individual one, but this is a good one to show you because this is what my partner received. So I received the same exact confirmation, except mine isn't going to have a pay now button because you saw me complete that payment process. So Caleb, my partner, actually received the same confirmation as I did that shows him that I registered him as his partner or as a partner for this event, and he has a button to hit that says pay now. So while we don't have a way to, we're not collecting upfront payment from these partners automatically when they're registered, they are receiving this notice in their notifications and their confirmations. So however you send out confirmations, the players are going to get those, whether you're using email, text, push notifications. All of them are going to have that pay now button if you are doing payments. So the players can go in and pay for those events and process those payments a little bit faster. And now I would like to show you what happens if a player withdraws from an event, because that is a big thing that we had to consider here. We had to kind of change how the system worked a little bit and create some new emails. So let's just say I'm decided that I don't want to play in this event anymore, and I'm just going to go remove myself, and Caleb can go find a different partner. So I'm going to go into my bookings. And here's that event. So I'm going to go in here and edit my registration. And I'm going to withdraw. So now I am going to see a message here that withdrawing is not going to cancel my partner's registration. The partner must cancel their own individual registration by logging in. So how's Caleb even going to know that I've withdrawn from this event? So we do have we do have an email and a notification. I shouldn't just say email because it's going to go push, text, and email if you're utilizing all of those avenues of communications. So those communications are going to go out to the partner that has been abandoned and say, hey, this person pulled out of this event. Let's get you a new partner. You can go in and edit your registration and add another partner, or that person can go in and cancel their own registration. So we did put some safeguards in for that, so the player just doesn't show up the day of without a partner if those two aren't communicating anymore. And I'm talking a little bit so I can just get that email because I want to show you what that email looks like. Partner withdraw. Perfect. All right. Where did it go? Pop out. Partner. That's the one I want. Partner. All right. Oh my gosh, I keep hitting the wrong button. It's blending in. Okay, here it is. Select a new partner. So this is the email that the partner got. So the subject is partner withdrawal notice. And so it's going to tell them to select a new partner. Your partner has withdrawn with a registration. Please take action. It addresses them by name. It tells them who their partner was for an upcoming event, and it tells them what event it was. And then again, partner withdrawn. So I can go click here to this button, update my registration. I'm not going to click that button right now because I'm logged in my window already and the system will get confused. But the player could go in at that point, edit their registration and add a new partner if they want, or cancel their registration. So that's how that piece works. Josh, are there any questions that we want to get to? I'm kind of, at the end here. Ashley, was there anything from your side that you can kind of think of that maybe you want to share from experiences at Old Coast or things like that?
Definitely use it. Get on the beta. We've been using it for several months now, and it's really making a difference for both our admins, our front desk, and the players. The players love it, and it makes it super easy, especially when you're syncing to Swish.
Oh, that's a good question that just came in. Does the team event coordinator also get an email if there's a withdrawal? So by event coordinator, if you mean the admin or any admins that are supposed to get emails on the event, yes, you're going to get a normal event withdrawal email. That's a really good question. Let me show you what that looks like actually, because I have one right here in my inbox. Just got to find the right browser bar to pull it over. So event withdraw. So you can see here, this is the standard withdraw email that you get. This event has been updated because the player has withdrawn. It's going to tell you who the withdrawn players were, who the player was, and who the partner remaining is. So Caleb is still outlier there without a partner. So it just tells me that now I've got a person hanging out there that doesn't have a partner. Maybe I should check on that when I get into the office or something like that. Now, could be by the time the admin goes back in to look at this, Caleb's already added himself another partner. So things could be happening in real time here that aren't, going to show up on an email that had happened maybe 3 hours ago. But yeah, the emails and communications, and any feedback that you guys have, if there's anything that you feel like is a feature that we need to add to Teams registration, again, please go to the idea board and submit any of those ideas for Teams under the events category. Those actually, will be reviewed all by me because I own that category within our product team. And so we're just kind of trying to prioritize what we want to do next. Again, the doing more than 2 players. So the next thing we'll probably do is doing 4-player registration. That was a big feedback item we got. And then even allowing players to register as individuals, we're trying to figure out stuff like that. So, but yeah, if, again, if you have feedback, or Josh, I think I gave you one more link that I want you to post. If you have used Teams, I would like your feedback just from an experience standpoint. So what do I mean by that? I have just a survey that is available. Josh is going to throw the link in the chat, so take a look at that. But there is a survey that I have that I would just love to know, if you reviewed any of the KB articles, tell me how that went for you. How was the ease of setting up the event? Did your members give you any feedback? That kind of stuff. I would greatly appreciate that just as items that we can consider as we're going through. But yeah, if you find something that you don't believe is working properly, please send that to our live chat support team or email support@courtreserve.com, because if we don't know it's broken, we can't fix it. So please, please, please tell us if you think that there's something that's not working properly here. Okay, well, that's really all that I had for you guys today.
That's all, folks. We just need the
That's
bunny
all.
rabbit across the
Um,
screen.
let's see.
Thanks for hanging out. And we're going to talk to Zoom about all the dropping.
Yeah, and we'll be sure to have this up on our YouTube channel within the next 24 hours. Maybe we have some trim work to do, Josh, to cut out some of those drops that we had in the middle. Um, but thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you guys soon.